Welcome to episode 110 of the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business. I'm Brian Fisher. In the previous episode, 109, our guest was Mike Horn, discussing cultivating authenticity. Today's episode discusses CEO Burnout to Authentic Leadership with Dennis Franczak. This podcast series is targeted to business owners and C-suite executives. It reflects my 34 years as a business owner and subsequent years as a business mentor and consultant. It focuses on the various subjects and topics to help you run a successful, profitable business. They're approximately 15 minutes long, so you can listen while commuting. Hopefully, you'll find one or two takeaways to implement per episode. Based out of Boston, Massachusetts, Dennis Franczak is the dynamic founder and partner of Bright Matter Advisors. Dennis has an impressive track record in building high-growth companies, developing sustainable business strategies, and maximizing revenue. With Dennis's 20 years of being a CEO, his focus is on steering leaders and their organizations to work with impact and purpose, guiding them through transformative growth and operational excellence. Dennis's journey at Fuse Ideas as executive chairman enriches his approach with cutting-edge new media strategies, ensuring that we stay ahead in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. His track record includes founding startups, transitioning through growth, crisis management, organizational transformation, brand strategy, as well as mergers and acquisitions. He also owns and operates a holding company, which runs youth sports programs. This company is designed to turn student athletes into future leaders. His personal journey of overcoming burnout and finding balance adds depth to his insights on leadership and business success. Let's welcome Dennis Franczak. Dennis, welcome to the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Hey, Brian, happy to be here.
Thanks for joining us today, Dennis. Dennis, I'm always interested in people's stories. What's your background in becoming the founder and partner of Bright Matter Advisors?
I got to go way back. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, very blue-collar area where we understood the value of hard work. Didn't grow up with a lot, but grew up happy with a happy family. But I always knew that I was going to have to make my way. And so I was able to secure an Air Force ROTC scholarship to get my college paid for. And then I went on active duty, got stationed here in Boston, and then fell in love, got married, and ended up staying. And I learned a lot in the Air Force about leadership and having a lot of responsibility at such a young age and being very humble about that. The thing I didn't like about the Air Force, and I was in procurement and like research and development, it took forever to get anything done. And I guess with some of my ADHD that I found out that I had, I wanted to be entrepreneurial. So when I got out of the Air Force, I started building companies. And I founded an internet firm in the late 90s, which I merged in with a brand firm, which was so good in print and brand development, but they didn't have any sense of what interactive was. And in the late 90s, that was very revolutionary to have a brand firm and a digital firm merge. So we were almost like one of the first full service ad agencies in the Boston area. And then I went to a bigger company after that. And then after 3 years of building their capabilities in digital and helping them buy two companies, I said, I think I want to do this again. So I founded an ad agency called Fuse Ideas. I called a friend up at ESPN, and we helped them launch their first broadband sports channel called ESPN 360. And that kind of put us on the map. And 20 years later, I've moved from the CEO role to an executive chairman's role, where I do a lot of advisory and I mentor the young staff. And then I experienced a severe burnout episode about 3 years ago, and I really reprogrammed and just evaluated my life and my priorities. And then out of that, I founded a consultancy called Bright Matter Advisors, which is designed to help high functioning professionals and executives not fall into the burnout trap that I had. And that is now like my mission in life is to help others. And I'm very proud of that. And I want to make a difference there. And that's everything I'm spending my life doing.
Well, that leads right into this topic episode of going from CEO burnout to authentic leadership. Would you mind expanding just a little bit more on your personal story and how it can help other CEOs?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this because people that are high performers are always pushing the envelope, right? And they're always trying to succeed, and succeed comes at a cost. And so for me, it was trying to build a company and be relevant in a highly competitive advertising industry where there's holding companies with 5 to 10 to 30 agencies under their umbrella. And here we are, just a small independent agency trying to compete in that world. And I was somebody that would not accept failure. And so over the years, I was getting us into pitches and getting us into clients, national clients like Adidas and Reebok and Bose. And we're just doing fantastic work. But what was happening over the span of that 17 years, I was slowly stripping away who I really was as a person, and it was being replaced by somebody I didn't recognize.
Well, again, following up on that answer, could you expand on the importance of work life balance and the vulnerability that we have in leadership?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the word vulnerability because when I finally had my like control alt delete moment and said I need to go away and get well, one of the first things I did when I was away is I saw a TEDx talk by Brene Brown on vulnerability. And I share this with all my clients. It's a 15-minute YouTube. It's been viewed by millions around the world. And it gave me a safe space to be able to say, it's okay to talk about this with other people because you suffer in silence. You stop reading your emails. You stop attending meetings that you used to attend. Things that you used to care about, all of a sudden, you don't really care about. You're tuning your family out on vacation, right? I'm on my phone instead of spending time at Disney with my kids. And I did all those things. And it was destroying relationships. It was not making me an effective leader. It affected company performance. And it just required a complete reset of who I was in order for me to be able to live the next, 40 years of my life being an effective leader, a great father, and somebody that can help others. But it came at a cost. I lost my marriage over this. I lost some other key relationships. I am almost now in the phase where it's like I will do anything I can to help an executive because if I help that person, it'll help hundreds of the people in their life, the people that are closest to them. And so that's really been what it's been all about. And I liken it, Brian, to this. I told people it's like you have a fuse box and all the little circuit breakers are going off and you're ignoring all of it until the fuse box just explodes. And that's what I did. And so I'm trying to help people see what is going on in their lives so they don't have their fuse box blow up like mine did.
We're speaking with Dennis Franczak, founder and partner of Bright Matter Advisors. Dennis, just what exactly is authentic leadership?
So authentic leadership is really allowing yourself to be seen in a way that people know is genuine to who you are as a person. And it's different for everybody. I learned a lesson. So I talked about my military experience. And one of the earliest lessons I learned about authentic leadership is I went into an area called Electronic Systems Center. It was all made up of, it was really technical work, and all the people on my staff were contractors. Almost 100% of them were ex-military who'd fought in the Vietnam War. They had been veterans. A couple had been prisoners of war. And as a 22-year-old, they called them butter bars, right? Second lieutenants. I didn't know anything. And I'm expected to lead 50 of these people, and they're like Imagine how demoralized it is for them every time when a new lieutenant comes in and they have to report to them. And so I kind of flipped that on my head and said, hey, guys, I don't know what I'm doing, but if you teach me how to be great at this job, what I'll do in the meantime is keep all the political BS away from you so you guys can concentrate on us doing the best work possible. And then I followed that, and that motivated the staff. It made us almost like brothers in arms, which was appropriate for my age. And then over time, I was able to, as I started to get some frost on the ceiling and some gray hairs, not a lot, but some, and I started to be able to mentor others in that. But along the way, I lost myself and I didn't become authentic because I was starting to fill a role. And my authenticity, as a result of these little mini things that were happening that were leading to a burnout episode, really put a dent in my authenticity as a leader.
What actionable advice do you have for executives?
Well, I think the first thing is to watch that Brene Brown TED Talk on vulnerability. The second, I think, is to find out, look at yourself and go, am I exhibiting signs of kind of complacency or laissez-faire or things that I used to be hyper passionate about before, I no longer care about? Is your family ignoring you when you come home at night for dinner? Because that's a sign that they're checked out on you because you've checked out on them. And I didn't even, that was happening to me. But what happened before that is the kids are asking, Dad, come spend time with us. Dad, let's do this. Let's do this. And I'm on my phone, too busy. I have to answer emails at 8 o'clock at night because, oh my God, what if a client wants to get a hold of me? All just fake stuff that caused things to happen around me that I ignored. And the next thing you know, I just, I had a control alt delete moment. So I would say to executives, if you're starting to feel or behave differently than you were when you've been performing your best, pick up a phone, call somebody that you trust, a mentor, and try to process what's going on because I suspect there's a lot more underneath there.
We're speaking with Dennis Franczak, founder and partner of Bright Matter Advisors. Dennis, is there anything I've not asked that you'd like to add?
Well, I think the one thing that I'd like to add is this is not uncommon. If you're feeling this way, I guarantee you there's millions of others that are feeling the same thing. And almost every executive that I talk to on an initial consultation, they call me up, it's a free call, and they start telling me what's going on. And it's almost like at a macro level, it's identical to the story I've heard before, and the story I heard before that, and the story I heard before that. And they tell me that they've talked to others and they're all feeling the same way. But nobody wants to take it on because they're afraid that they're going to be viewed as weak or damaged or anything else. And that's the opposite of being authentic. It's okay to let your staff know, listen, I have to work through some things. I am trying to be the best leader possible. I actually went off the grid for 6 months. I threw my phone in the trash, did some real mental health work. I reinvented myself. And what I'm trying to do is boil that down into simple ways for executives not to have to do that, but end up with the same result. And it's been life changing. It's been life changing for my clients. It's been life changing for me.
Good for you, Dennis.
Yeah. And even so, an example is I used to be a DJ in college, Brian, and I used to spin vinyl, and I gave that up for work, career, family, and everything. And about a year ago, I said, I need a hobby. And so I started DJing again. And I'm so happy when I get behind that turntable and I can put a smile on people's faces. But then I took it to another level because there was an autistic boy that was watching me perform. He was nonverbal autistic. And he came over to me in the middle of a performance, and his father came over and said, this is Colby. He has learned how to communicate through music, and he's very passionate about it. Can you show him what you're doing? And I showed him what I was doing, and I let him play around with the knobs and stuff. And that was the foundation of a beautiful friendship. And out of that, I said, what if I can use my business talents and networking skills, along with my passion for DJing and music, and create a nonprofit. So I built a nonprofit called DJs for a Cause. And what we do is we partner with other nonprofits and foundations to create events to help them raise more money for their constituents. And that is a huge outlet for me at this stage in my life because it's helping other people. And it's so tuned to my personal brand now that that's real authenticity. And that's some of the things that I try clients to start to imagine is if you're ready to transition into a new career or you want to do something, then let's talk about what you want to be known for. And that's all about legacy. And that's the last part of our work is we say, okay, we've helped you have a better relationship with your career and your skills, but what do you want to be remembered for? And I want to be remembered for somebody that made some terrible mistakes, but learned from them and has emerged as somebody that's going to help others live a happier life.
Now, Dennis, how can people get in contact with you?
The easiest is go to brightmatteradvisors.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Dennis at Bright Matter, and I'm always available on LinkedIn as well.
Dennis, thank you for joining us today on the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Thank you, Brian. It was a pleasure.
My sincere thanks to Dennis Franczak for joining us today. Managing the performance of your company is one of the most important things you do as a leader. This podcast is on YouTube and over 20 podcast directories. In search, type BCF ORG. Be sure to leave a space between BCF and ORG. And don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow the podcast. If you'd like to reach out to me for business mentoring or consulting, schedule a speaking engagement, ask questions, make comments, suggest ideas, or potentially be a guest like Dennis, please go to bcforg.com. There's a red Contact Us button in the middle of the homepage. All the podcasts are available by clicking on the website podcast page in the reference bar. These podcasts will be released the first and third Tuesday each month. In our next episode, 111, our guest will be John Gates, discussing pay negotiation. In business, running a successful, profitable business is the ultimate scorecard. You are never done and can always be better. It tends to be more fun than work, frustrating at times, but can be very rewarding. From BCF ORG Corp., I'm Brian Fisher, wishing you the best. Thanks.